Oh man, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, man. I had to start this show off with some Kurt Franklin today. You know, I got a special guest on today, Mr. Williams. Me and him go back a long time, and he's been working on a lot of different programs, a lot of different things, and now he stepped into a market which is really, really well needed, the mental health market, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and explain exactly what he's doing. And there's only one way to start it off, but you had to start off with a little church. You know what I'm saying? You had to on a Wednesday. You got to come on with some.
Yeah, man. Everybody's good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's at home, maintaining their own well-being and trying to, hunker down and stay safe during these crazy times. Just like Coobie said, my name is Robert. Well, my first name is Robert, so I go by that. But I've been knowing Coobie for a long time. Y'all know him as Coobie. I know him as Coach Coobie. We were coaches at the same time over there at Purchase College. So I got my start early on working with young folks and trying to help them through their issues. But as for what I'm doing now, we're working with trying to help people with mental health because there's a lot going on out here today, and we need an all hands on deck when it comes to helping people. We've become a commercialized society, and we strayed away from the concept of it takes a village to raise a village, and not just a child. It takes everybody. And as we have been humbled all over the world by taking away all the so-called trappings of life that we've come to enjoy, such as freedom to move about and the ability to go out here and make money, and some people make excessive amounts of money. So, there's income disparity too. So, this COVID-19 is basically hobbled and humbled man like none ever before. We're basically reverted back to being able to depend on each other, which is where our mental health comes in, because life as we knew it ceases to exist. Am I right, brother?
You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. So, back when we was working with those athletes, we were traveling all around the country, trying to help young men center themselves and find some grounding. And I don't know about you, but I found that to be a challenge. What about you?
Yeah, it was definitely a big challenge dealing with the youth and you know trying to get them on the right path as far as sports and as far as getting ready to move on to the society alone. You know,
Yeah.
so
Because I think you affected these young men a lot deeper than just a coach and a player. You have that relationship on the court, but I think the connection that was formed by going through that trial and error with these young men is what made them connect to you. And you still talking back and forth to some of the young brothers that we used to coach with. We're young men now, so
right,
you
right.
can tell by the grade that y'all's putting now. It's been a minute.
You know, yeah. So
Yeah.
so what is exactly you have going on now? What is that? What is that? The name of what you have going on now?
Well, right now, what we've developed is a solution called Seven, and Seven, which is spelled XZEVN. Kind of took a play on that name from Star Trek Seven, and how the automation could talk back and forth, and she would talk to the computer would talk back, and she was all computer interface. And so we kind of took the play on that because that's how we wanted what we built to work with people. So basically what we do is we have a bunch of artificial intelligence software and machine learning programming, and we put it all together along with some technology that we licensed from from the federal government. And we built this system that could identify when a person's mental health is going off the rails. So basically, something that can tell you when you're going crazy before you start going crazy. But it's not so much about the term of being crazy in people's minds. It's about the emotional instability that's going on at that time, because our lives are full of context, whether it's getting up, going to work, whether it's raising our children, having a bad day, encountering a racial tension, or whatever we encounter throughout our normal day. And all of these things can make our emotions kind of like push and pull, almost like the gravity between the earth and the sun. And so at any normal time, at any time, that balance can be thrown off, which results in a person having an emergency mental crisis. And that crisis can be either small or short. Believe it or not, a lot of how our emotions play out is played out on social media. So people, our lives is nothing but one big data factory. When you think about it like that, everything we do makes data. In order to understand that data, you got to be able to basically classify it. Well, this could be this or that could be that. The human mind is one big computer itself. It understands how to classify it. The disconnect between machines and people is that we understand the nuances of when a person is going off the rails. So that, if you're standing there, you can tell it. But looking through social media, that machine can't tell that part. So what we built is a method of understanding what that individual person's context looks like, and then providing alerts and letting people in the mental health industry know when something is going wrong, so that they can be ahead of the game in delivering care to that person. So we don't have to ask that question, I wish I could have known, or we wish there would have been a sign or something like that. We can start catching those signs, and we can start dealing with that in a person-centered way, so we can deal with the person instead of the diagnosis. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. So now, is that something that you implant in someone, or how is that, how do you go about having that?
I'm glad you asked that question. So think about the fact that you sign onto your phone, and people all over the world are starting to collect that data. Well, what you're doing now is that you're setting up a system so that you can collect your own data and give yourself alert notices, okay, well, I may be having a problem here. So maybe I should talk to somebody, or maybe I should express this thing out loud that I'm living with in silence. So it's a system where you're basically taking your interactions on social media, as well as your texts, your tweets, your phone calls, your messages, and all you're doing is just taking that stuff and you're analyzing it and you're making sense of it. And then you're setting up a system so that you can help support yourself instead of waiting for that psychiatrist to pop into your life mysteriously and help you, which we know it doesn't work. A person will sit there and go through losing a job, and their mental well-being is compromised right then and right there. They don't want to. They're embarrassed to go out and talk about, oh, I lost my job and I don't know how to feed my family, or this, that, and the other. People internalize a lot during the day, and they the people of today are expressing that on social media, much like we're doing right now. So imagine this Zoom call being analyzed and be made to say, okay, well, Koobie is feeling complete joy right now, but Robert, he's a little nervous about talking about what he built over the course of his lifetime. And those little bits of information go a long way with helping understand people, as well as how to help those people.
Wow. Woo. This is deep. It's deeper than people think, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. It is.
How long has the program been around? Is it
Wow,
called the
that's
program? Let's.
well. It's derived from the program. Well, you knew it as being the Williams program,
Right.
but before the Williams program, it was called Atlas.
Okay.
Basically, this whole thing started back in 1984. I was given two choices: either go to jail or go to the Army. Well, thank God I chose the Army. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed for God to get me out of that mess, so I can not go through those bad times anymore. And I wanted to make up something so I can help other people too. And I just started my mission right there, was to just go out and just learn as much as I could about dealing with people, how to communicate with people, how to motivate people. Once I got into the military, I started learning from drill sergeants, and the coolest person that affected me was this dude, Staff Sergeant Vaughn, and he understood and recognized a lot of the things that I was going through as a troubled young man back then. Broken homes, lack of stability, first time away from the world. It's crazy. So Sergeant Vaughn taught me so much and inspired me so much that he made me want to be just like him. And then from then on, I just learned how to be the best person I could be by going to drill sergeant school and all that. Once I got out of the military, I kept building and putting those ideas in place. And I finally got to, I think it was leaving college, and I was recruited by some of those young men that were on the track team to help them out. And I said, well, let me start practicing and working with young people, and see if this stuff that I learned worked. And wow, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And I thought that for a moment that it was based on my personality. But I said, well, let me try and repeat that. And then as I went through my career and I kept testing, I found that there's a lot that goes into it, such as not just personality, but how we engage, how we communicate back and forth, and the nuances of communication. It's unbelievable what you can learn. And then, I went back to college. Well, I went to college at Lehman College, and I started studying upon behavior systems and how people talk and communicate and engage. And just one thing led to another. And here we are. I went to Albany, New York, and started working with the football team. And 6 championship rings later, we built success. And then that's when I met with you down at Purchase, and we went from there. We kept building. So it's a bunch of iterations, a bunch of learning to fail really fast in order to make steps forward, and not getting discouraged when I did take a step or two back, and just kept pushing forward and believing that what I was doing was for a higher purpose. This is where I am.
Right. So basically now with this new project, is it out on the market? Is it a marketable thing? Like, do you pick it up? Can you pick it up from the drugstore? Can you understand what I'm saying? How does this work?
Actually, no.
Yeah,
we're working toward making it so that what we developed can be readily accessible to people. But right now, we're doing a lot of work. DoD, we're working with the Army, and the AFWorks COVID-19 response, trying to repurpose what we've built into helping frontline healthcare workers. So we've repurposed a lot of the components of XZEVN to help doctors deal with their stress and with the things that are going on with them. We couldn't just sit back and stay huddled down in our fortress and be okay while these people out there putting their lives on the line. So we started working with these guys. We've always worked with NASA, National Space Administration, and we're trying to help with the astronauts going into space. Isolation, emotional distress, inability to communicate with people. So believe it or not, all of this kind of like lines all up in order. It's each one of us goes through periods of isolation, depression, anxiety. So it's a people thing more so than just a market thing. So once we finish testing and working with these guys, then we're looking to make a commercialized product and bring it out here so we can help the world.
Okay. I mean, certain places usually like pay people to be crash dummies. I don't have a problem. I'll do it for free for you. You know what I'm saying? I'll be a crash dummy for you for the product. Just send it to the house. I'll try it out. Put it on me, my wife, my son, and my little daughter. Hey, the whole family will put it on. You know what I'm saying?
That's the funny thing. I found myself actually turning on XZEVN, and I'll go in and play with it, and then I'll get an alert back to myself saying, "You are having a problem." And I'm like, "Wow."
So basically, it's going to be an app.
It's going to be an app-based product. We're looking looking to have it roll out initially to be a component of a larger component for the military or the government or whoever we can sell this thing to, and then for commercial purposes for just general people, we have a front-facing app with a user interface, and you can log in and play around and search for self-help content. But the difference between what we will build compared to what's out there with like the other, I guess you could say, emotional well-being apps, is that our system doesn't just push information to you. It more or less finds it for you, because it's going to be based upon your own unique mental footprint, if so to speak. So everybody's experience in Seven will be completely different because of the artificial intelligence and machine learning that we got built into this thing.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you guys already had the idea, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. If you need my address, I'll text it to you later. So
No
you
problem,
can send
bud.
so you can send
I
that big old check. But
I got you. I got
but
you.
did you guys think about building a watch? Because the watches that people go out and run, and it monitors their heart rate and all of that. Have you guys already thought about that and started that plan and that to build one of those?
Yeah, we thought about that, and we kind of like built that into the cake, so to speak. We figured that Apple and iPhone and all these people building all these wearables, we feel that they understand building these things a lot better than we do. So what we did was we built a way to tie that data in to Seven so that it can still be used within the system.
Ooh.
So, we let them build it, and then we can still tie into the solution based on users giving us access to the, I guess you could say, the physical markers, sensors that are built into it, like the accelerometer, blood pressure, sweat index. These things are so sensitive now. They got products rolling down the line that's going to actually be able to test your blood for blood glucose level. I think they already have it, but right now you have to have a wearable on the arm. Sooner or later, it's just going to be in the watch. So it's
right.
We're just trying to take advantage, trying to stay nimble enough so that we don't get bogged down with, okay, well we're a new watch builder, because then that moves us out of the ability to capitalize on other opportunities.
Gotcha.
So just trying to stay laser focused on dealing with behaviors and how to make people's well-being better.
Okay. And this is a perfect time for it, because like you said earlier, with this crisis going on, people cannot handle with what's going on. Like, a lot of nurses and doctors are really actually breaking down. And I mean the police, fire department, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm a little upset about is because on the news, this is a little side, this is off the mark right now for a second. But on the news, they're not saying thank you to doormen, porters, concierge, child case workers. We're not getting the applause and everything, even though it's happening, and we'll take it on ourselves because we know we're frontline people. But they're not visually, like, going out and showing it like, yo, thank you. Because, we have to go out there and help the older people in our buildings. They can't leave the house.
Yeah.
We got to bring the groceries up to them. We might have to go into apartments because they have a leak or whatever. Then you got the child care workers that are going to work, dealing with the kids that are not, they're there because their family don't want them. So they don't want to listen. They don't want to stay in the house, in the building. So now you got staff that has to deal with that. And then they go AWOL. You don't know where they went. They not wearing a mask. They definitely not wearing gloves. Now they come back to the unit, and you got to accept them back in the units. And a lot of people don't see that. Like how we see firemen and police officers and nurses and doctors. We're just as bad, in a situation in crisis, that we can lose it too. Especially working with them kids.
Exactly. You know, I guess COVID has brought out the concept that these kids is not as nice as we thought they were, or as good as they thought they were. These kids are off the chain. So
Right.
a lot of wake up calls are happening right now. But I agree with you. I think that in reality, anyone that has to get up and go outside of their house during a time like this, because your job is mandating you to be there, is a hero as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Because I look at it like you can go out there and catch anything and bring it back to your family. You know,
Listen.
and nobody's time is guaranteed on this planet, man.
You're right.
You know, and then they're talking about an acceptable loss. Okay, well, lose somebody in your family and tell me if it's an acceptable loss.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see.
know,
Let's see what they feel.
Yeah, what about the 60, 70,000 plus people that's out there dying every day? A couple of hundred people a day in New York are dying. Let's go tell them that family member's loss is acceptable.
Right.
You know, I look at it like this: our politicians, you know, we have some politicians. So I'm not trying to point out anyone.
Of course,
we have some politicians that live in a contextual bubble, and they don't understand the concept of what real life is. And I don't know if it's by choice or they have something that's potentially chemically wrong with that person. But when you don't look at reality and see the fact that you just ordered, I don't even know how many thousands of workers that go back into those meat plants and process meat so that me and everybody else up here in the city can have a steak. I mean, what is that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
How do we circumscribe ourselves around that? It doesn't make sense. So, you know, I think, like I said earlier, I think our mentality has moved more so toward a consumer commercialism society and capitalism as a motivator, instead of motivating to make sure that the next person beside you can have a place to stay, food to eat, warm clothes. You know, it's just crazy how this world has changed, but nonetheless it's changing. We got to be agile and move with it in order to survive, unfortunately.
Right. If anyone out there that has a question for Mr. Williams, it's 914-357-5551. Please call, and you can ask any question you would like. You can find out when this program will be on the market, when will it be out. Of course, I'm going to definitely get my free test trial on it. And no, I'm not selling it black market after I get it. No, I'm going to keep it for me and my family, and we're going to make it work for us.
But now I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What is the story with you going back to coaching?
Okay, well, my story with coaching is my job. Actually, I don't have the time. Like, I don't get off. See, I used to, before when I was coaching, I was working at a school, so I get out at 3 o'clock. Everything for college or high school starts around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
I can make it. You know what I'm saying? But now that I get off at 6:30 at night, it's nothing. It makes no sense. Because by the time I even get to wherever the game is at, I might be there at halftime. So.
Well, I'm gonna tell the internet world this. Somebody out there that needs a coach real bad, y'all need to hire this brother, because I haven't seen anybody else that can help take a program from skids to 100 meters dashes that fast in my life. And I've seen it firsthand. This brother sat here and single-handedly put teams together and coached them through these crazy game schedules and all that. So when things get back to normal, somebody need to be hollering at you, man.
Listen, that would be a game changer right there. I would love it. I would love to get back into it, but it'll come eventually down the line, hopefully. If not, I'll just be retiring as a doorman and So when do you think this is all going to start? Like, official? Like, when is it going to be ribbon cutting and stuff?
Well, right now we're actually, I mean, prior to COVID-17, we were supposed to be starting a pilot with UNC Chapel Hill down in North Carolina. But, with this, it basically, upended our lives as well. So it left us scrambling, trying to figure out, ways to, try to reinvent ourselves to be relevant right now. So God willing, once we go back to some semblance of normal, nobody can look into a crystal ball and tell us that, but we'll resume our conversations with UNC. The main thing we want to make sure is that what we built is going to work and it's going to be right, because you're talking about people's mental health.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just throw something out there and just say just to make $1, and it's not doing anybody any good, because all they're going to do is say, give me bad reviews on the product, and then we're going to be left holding basically a bunch of software with no general use out there. So getting it right means everything. So hopefully at some point that by the first of the year, we're looking at a possible launch into the commercial market outside of product pilots. And so we're looking at a couple of 6-month pilots now with these DoD people, and then we'll roll something right out.
Okay, that sounds real good. I mean, I know you've been working on this for years.
Oh my God. Yeah, man. I tell you, when I got into this, I didn't know what a white paper was, and by now, I've written so many of these things. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I was the last person that you would have imagined growing up to be doing what I'm doing right now. So, number one, I'm blessed. Number two, it's been a crazy road to come from being someone that almost went to jail to someone that could potentially help people stay out of jail, because this thing has ramifications with probation, parole. It's nothing worse than a parolee or a person that's going on parole having to check in once a week, or somebody's coming up to their job and embarrassing them. These people, they want to get on with their lives and be productive. They don't want to still be shackled to that correctional system. So this thing has benefits with corrections. We could do stuff with education, working with athletes, like we were at Purchase College.
Yeah.
We got applications in the business world. A lot of these businesses, they deal with outside organizations when it comes to providing some service like HR services to people. So we can work with them so that people can self-report mental well-being in a safe and secure way without their jobs being involved in that, because that's where a lot of the stigmatism about seeking mental health comes from. It's the embarrassment of seeking that help. I'm a consumer myself. I worked at Ground Zero. I suffered from PTSD and all that from the military. So
right.
I know firsthand what it is to have to break through that barrier of not feeling ashamed about looking for help, because at some point we all need help. And
right.
just making it easier for people to go out there and get their help is going to be life-changing for a lot of people, especially the disadvantaged. So if I can figure out a way, I would love to figure out a way so I can just market this thing to businesses and let them pay for it for everybody else. That'll be an awesome thing. And I think that's something like this should be free for everybody. Because we all at some point need to check ourselves when it so to speak, when it comes to mental health.
Right.
So anything that we can do to further that, I'm more than willing to do. So that's why and we're working with some schools and stuff like that, like Poughkeepsie up here in New York. We want to work with them as soon as they come back, and we want to make sure that the community is responsible and help with bringing this thing to the Poughkeepsie City schools, and then hopefully we can expand and move from there. Hopefully come down to New York City and bring it down to New York City schools as well.
Right. Yeah, I really wish this would have been out a couple of years ago. You might have definitely had saved I forget his name though, but the football player from the Patriots that killed himself in prison.
Yeah. I actually wrote a book about that. I commented on that in the book. The name of the book is Why Athletes Get Into So Much Trouble and What We Can Do to Stop It. And I looked at the causes of adverse behavior among athletes over a long period of time. And it was a bunch of different things to me that makes a person get to the point that they want to take their own lives. It's not just one thing. I want to wake up and kill myself. A bunch of different factors play into that.
Yeah.
And with that young man, it's so sad that something that he loved growing up was one of the factors that contributed to it, which was playing football. Because they found out later, after he passed and examined his brain, that the man suffered so many small head contacts or what they call them, concussions, and that was what led to his mental degradation. And once you start messing with the mind, it starts going downhill from there. So that, along with the street life, and God knows what else. Only he can tell that story.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact that it takes a bunch of different things to make a person's mental health deteriorate in a manner like that.
Yeah.
And all we can do is just pray for that young brother's soul. That's it.
Yeah, that was.
Try to make sure we don't make sure the next young brother that plays sports or whatever doesn't have to go through that. That's what we do now.
Right. Yeah, that's why you need to hurry up and get this going. Like, this is I'm being serious. Like, this is a perfect time that I wish you was able to be in there and getting it going, because the NFL, the NBA, Major League.
We went to the NFL. The NFLPA, this was a few years ago. Me and my partner, we pitched to them. And they basically laughed us out the room, saying, "Oh, well, we don't need this," and blah, blah, blah. And we said, "Okay, well, we understood down the road the story's going to change." But at the time, they didn't see any use for what we had built. The weird thing is, with the whole COVID-19 thing coming up, that's what's motivating others to start thinking about mental health differently. So, up until then, people were looking at us like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence and mental health and this and that. What are you trying to do? Steal my identity or something? I'm like, well, okay. Well, all of that could have easily made us say, forget this. We're building something that's crazy. But you kind of like saw the writing on the wall. And thank God we did keep going forward, because look, now we're starting to get a lot of attention. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it can lead to somewhere.
Yeah, because, I would have loved to see the ratio of the day that you went in there and spoke to the NFL and the time you left, and how many players had mental health issues as soon as you left that door. From that date until now, I would love to see the number, because that's so funny that they could have been the first ones to help every single athlete that's out there, and every NFL player, and then of course it would have went on to other sports. But that this is it's so funny that it takes something bad for the big wigs to say, "Yo, okay, we got a problem, and we got to do something really serious about it."
Yeah.
The NFL, they, with the Kaepernick thing, so they felt they was losing, and then they hired Jay-Z.
Then they hired Jay-Z to change their image,
basically, because they were losing. So guess what? If you help with the mental health issue, then guess what? You'll still win, because now you got players staying around even longer, and now you got fans coming to the games because that player is still playing.
Or still having some type of influence in the game, or he's probably gone into coaching or what have you. I mean, it's so many things that could take place in this. We went to the Department of Education, we went to local high schools, we went to different colleges. You know about the colleges we went through.
Yeah.
And all of them had the same issue. It's ironic. University of Maryland told us the same thing. Oh, well, we already have a system in place. Some of these schools now, they have so-called well-being programs in place. But yet, that same school had that big scandal going on with the player that died on the field from dehydration and sunstroke. So, it begs to wonder, what type of programming these colleges, so-called, that's accepting the money from moms and dads and all that, and they're paying a lot of money toward these tuitions. What services do they have in place to protect our children? So
Right.
it's amazing how these people think. They'll spend a few $1,000,000 on salaries of professors and all these big name people to walk around in their research, but they won't spend a few more dollars and get a system to actually work on different things to help their kids. I think colleges should be almost like incubators for companies like mine, so that they can find best practices and best solutions that can help the students in college, instead of depending on the same old way.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. I mean, because you know, going back to the Williams program at
Mm-hmm.
Purchase College, when you first came to me about the idea, I brought it to the coach, and you know it for a fact. He was he was a little standoffish about it at first.
Yes,
He
very.
didn't want to open up practice time to be able to have this in the beginning. And then I just kept pushing him, saying, "Yo, listen, we need to have this. We need to start doing this." And that year that we did that, that was the year we took the championship.
We took the championship because we kept more players in school and out of trouble than there were out of school and in trouble.
Right. And that was a tough year, that first year, because
Oh yeah,
um yeah, that first year was a tough year, and we won the Skyline Conference. Even
won the
though
conference.
even though we no we no
Yeah, we
we
won.
yeah, yeah, we won the
Yeah, we won.
conference, even though we got
Hmm.
bumped the first round to WPI. But
Exactly.
that started. And then what did we do the next year? I said, "Yo, we got to start this Williams program earlier. We got
Yeah,
to get it on the road early." And that's what we did. And then that
day
crew
one.
came in, and just we did break records at Purchase that year.
Broke records there. Yeah.
And
So
we
it was
went
the
to the
same
second
result
round.
at U Albany. Yeah,
Right.
same result at U Albany. But I credit coaches understanding and knowing how to pick their talent. But when the coaches can't keep these players on the field or in the game of play, that's where the problem comes in at. And then now you got a student that's losing financial aid, potentially first year student, no doubt. So now their mental well being is thrown out of whack because they're thinking like, okay, well, I'm never going to do anything right, so this school thing is not for me. When it's actually the reverse. You get a first year kid coming to school, man, they need a lot of support. But then it needs to be the amount of support that they ask for, not for something you want to just shove down their throat. Because then they'd be like, well, I don't need help with knowing how to cook because I can already cook. I had to learn how to cook when I was 2 years old, or
Right.
how to hustle and make my own money. They already know how to hustle, go out there and get every job they could on the campus. So it all boils down to giving that young person, or that person, period, the help they need when they need it. And it takes a special person to be able to sit there and look at someone and say, you know what, you need a hug right now, or you know what, let me turn you on to this new book that I've been reading about well-being, or what about this article online, or listen to this quote of the day, or something like that. And these little things like that is what give inspiration and motivation and leadership. I had to prove to the guys that I wasn't full of crap by getting out there and running up and down the court with them doing practice. And at
Right.
that point, I think that's where the ice broke with the basketball players. Same thing with the football team. They saw me on the sideline going through losses and wins and all that with them, and we earned that trust. And at the end of the day, I think young brothers and sisters just want somebody to talk to and to hear them, not just
Right.
listen to them, but to hear what they're saying. And you get that ear, you can work miracles. And I think the same thing applies to us everyday adults too.
Right. But also the great thing about the Williams program is you were at the particular time you was an officer on the campus,
Yeah,
which is
I've
which
been a
is
cop.
right. And you
Yeah,
had a couple of guys that was willing to jump aboard the program, and as far as campus guys, and I think that really helped out because the guys, the officers that was working the evening,
hmm
they would see some of the players, and the players would see them, and not just saying hello because he's just the officer that's in the program, but hello, like, yo, he's cool. He's,
Hey, what's
he's
up?
down.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that really helped out with a lot of kids staying out of trouble, and also having a a male figure, because a lot of them don't have male figures in their life. Some of them are raised with one parent, and
mm,
it was more than I'm just an officer, and
yeah.
that was the biggest thing about it. You know what I'm saying?
But it's a two-way street too, because at the same token, the same way that I had to earn their trust, they had to earn my trust too. So we look at this so-called police state mentality, and unfortunately, with me being an ex-officer, I have to agree with the people when it comes to, okay, there is a police state mentality, because being a black officer is not an easy thing to do. So
Right.
the mere fact of being a person of color and putting on a badge is unusual in the first place.
Right.
Then to turn around and try to act like some of these rogue cops, what is that? So you got a lot of prejudice built in too among people about cops. So breaking through those communication barriers with between law enforcement and people knowing that there are some good cops out there that want to actually truly help people. And I believe that to my very core. The same way that you got a bunch of dirtbags out there that all they want to do is bully people because they got a badge and a gun.
Right. Right.
It takes a change of mindset to bring a program like that and learn how to engage with people that are different than you from another perspective. Instead of making judgments, you're listening to their problems, and you're listening to what this young man or young woman is saying, and then you're dealing with them on that equal level. You're both equals at that point, and that's what starts the dialogue, not coming at them from an authority figure. And that's one of the reasons I made sure that I wasn't allowed. I didn't want to do the job in a uniform, because that uniform right there is going to be a roadblock.
Right.
Day one.
Right.
So working with the team, dressing like the team, going through their wins, their losses, being another part of the team extension is what the success was during that. And having coaches like you that have buy-in,
Right.
without your buy-in, none of this would have been possible. So thank you as well.
Yeah, of course. Also, Seven needs to be definitely. I hope you speak to the head of the NYPD, because they really have a lot of mental health issues. I
And
mean,
they
that's
got
one. Yeah, not just because of, you know, the cop that's not from the neighborhood, ain't never grew up here and just bullying the neighborhood because he, like you said, he got a gun and a badge. Not just that, but even that individual, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people might say, Koobie, you bugging out. You caring about a person that been beating us up. No, it's not even about that they beating us up. It's about that dude is going through some mental issues.
yeah,
He has
yeah.
something mentally going wrong. That's why he's doing what he's doing.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
He's still a person.
And if he can check himself quick, or get an alert that, oh, wait a second, let me, bring it down a notch, let me figure this out, then, maybe it'll be a better police and community togetherness. But,
Yeah.
also on the same note, even though the NYPD police are doing more community work, like
Mm-hmm.
for the good, those are only the officers that want to do it. Those,
That
and
want to do
every
it.
single person in that force, in each
Mm-hmm.
force, knows the racist cop and the one that
They
don't
know
want
it.
to deal with no blacks ever, but have
They
to
know it.
because they got to work. They know it. Those are the
They
ones
know
they
it.
need to grab and mandate them to do community work.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a mindset. When you're brought into the police department, you're basically programmed to think a certain way and to think it's a us against them. could it be us against them if I was one of the us the moment I walked in, but I was also one of the them when I took that test.
Right.
So where is the conflict coming from between a person wanting to serve the community in a law enforcement capacity and the idea of actually serving that community? It's a lot that goes into that. So a lot of history plays into this cop civilian relationship.
Right.
And it's gone on since police was actually since the whole concept of the overseer going on with I'm talking about from the ancient slavery days,
right,
when they first put so-called individuals in charge of the slaves, and they were called the overseers, and then now they call officers. So there's
exactly
confusion right there.
Yeah.
Like I said, the fact that I even became one of those dudes is still a mystery to me. I did have cops in the family, but I took the job to actually help people. And I didn't go in there with the concept I want to be a ticket writer or I want to make all these arrests and do all this stuff. I wanted to use it to figure out, the best ways to help people from a legal standpoint. And I think I got a lot out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I also put a lot back into it. But it takes that type of mindset to know that being a police officer is more than just strapping on a gun, going out there in a police car and knowing that you can stop or pull your gun on anybody. It's the mindset of, you got to make a conscious decision to do no harm to people. And I think that's where that line gets blurred from these cops that make these decisions to either kill unarmed people of color or to set up false arrests against people. Just any cop that's doing something that's against what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
These people they've forgotten that human side of them, and they're just trying to respond from an animalistic way. Think about this: when a cop goes into the academy, he's never worked in around people of color. He's never lived around people of color. But the first thing they do is they throw him in Harlem.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, all the baggage that he bought from wherever utopia that he came from is coming along here, along with those prejudices. And then when he hits the streets and he gets a field trainer that says, it's us against them. You either take them out or they take you out. Then what are you programming into these people? You're setting that man up for destruction. Whether he's going to either kill somebody or he's going to get killed or get one of his partners killed. Think about the Asian cop that went through the hallway going vertical in New York City. The first thing he did, he heard a noise in the stairwell, and he shoots.
And that's not your protocol.
Because he was scared. Seriously?
Yeah.
You shot a gun in a New York City building because you were scared. What if that have been? God. Unfortunately, someone lost their life, but that could have been somebody's 2-year-old daughter. That could have been some old lady coming to throw out her garbage.
Right.
That could have been some old man getting up to go to work because he is on his last 6 months of duty before he can retire.
Ooh.
And you just shot into a dark alley or a dark space without knowing what you're shooting at. So, I think they need to do a better job on screening these people for these jobs. And they also need to do a better job on looking into people's backgrounds and these reports of excessive force or cruelty committed to innocent civilians.
Yeah.
If they got that police board up here to investigate complaints by the community, then they need to get back to investigating these complaints and getting these guys out of the paint because, how many more deaths that we got to go through?
True. You're right.
Whether it's a cop or a civilian.
Right. And now with this social distance and wearing masks, you starting to see officers snatching people and throwing them to the floor because of this issue now.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
The whole social distance. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. And listen, I know the cops, they have a job.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Same way that people have to go about their lives the best that they can. And I think that's where the disconnect is happening with the whole way that, we tell police to go out there and do their job. There's a way of doing things. I can't really speak for the cops that are throwing these people to the floor and doing all that because I'm not there in the moment to see it. But what I can say is that there needs to be a lot more understanding among law enforcement right now, as well as we need to do a lot more training of these people to understand how to be these peacetime enforcement officers, because that's really what it is.
Right.
The war, this so-called war that's going on out there. There's no war right now. The only war that's happening is COVID. COVID is the only enemy we got.
Exactly.
We as people got to stay together to try to fight this thing, man. Because it doesn't know race, it doesn't know color, it doesn't know whether your job is that of a cop or a security guard. It doesn't know whether it's a grandmother or a 2-year-old or a pregnant woman or a doctor trying to help people. It doesn't know, and it doesn't care. The only thing that can have the emotion of caring and will have the emotion of caring is us sentient beings, us just humans. Well, we're just one part of the sentient being. But it's us. We got to show empathy and care and love for the people around us and want to help each other.
Right. You're definitely right about that. Mr. Williams, I would like to thank you so much for being on the Raw Truth Show.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. I truly appreciate it, Cool. Yo, we got to get together, man, when this thing is over, God willing.
Yes, we definitely will, though. We definitely will. And I'll call you after we finish up and talk to you about some other stuff. But thank you, Mr. Williams, and the 7 program coming to the market soon. Everybody be ready. The mental health is going to be on a high with this new program that he's coming out with, him and his buddies and partners. I will, show you what it looks like when I get mine in the mail, and put it on all the family members. Yo, thanks a lot. I want to tell everybody, you too, I want to tell everybody, God bless, stay safe and clean, and thanks for listening to the Raw Truth Show with CoobieTV, and you can check this show out on CoobieTV YouTube channel.